just to master that loving detachment, when you connect with them without any agenda.
I was looking at your work, the books that you've written, Becoming Gods. Mm-hmm. And like you said, I think you and I have so much in common. I would love to get a copy of that book from you, sir. However I need to. Yeah. Is it in any store? Can I just pick it up anywhere?
The best place to get it is on the website.
Okay.
We did have it in some of the other places, but were sending it out to all the stores, but we decided just make it available through the website, just because of the costs involved and everything else. It's both of them, actually all three books are bestsellers now, so
wonderful.
They just sell themselves. But yeah, we can set something up for you. We'll shoot you the copy of those. But yeah, the first book is Reunion with Source, and the other one is Becoming Gods. But it's on the premise that everything is God. That everyone goes, well, why do you say becoming gods? That's either blasphemous or it's ignorant. And I said, well, we're coming into the awareness that everything is one.
Yeah.
So it's but had to have a title on it. But anyway, I'd love to go talk about some of the other beings that you've had contact with, and basically what are their messages.
Well, I did when, about 95, 96, a Palladian girl, I guess you can say girl, she looked young to me. Her name was Beck. B-E-Q is how she spelled it. She came to me about 10 times, but she really didn't impart information. She was more like playful, more like as if she was spiritually tickling me.
Yeah, that's them.
Pardon me?
That's them. They're real giddy. Their energy is real playful and real giddy. It's when they come here and fly over the group, everybody starts getting real giddy, really up, and they're real playful energy.
I always remember hanging out with these beings. There's never really a lot that's said directly to me, like, hey, Keith, we're going to give you a piece of information that you can go ahead and start passing to people that we said. It's never usually that way for me. It's like I'm there for the purpose of being shifted. And when I wake up in the morning, I feel pregnant with information versus being told something.
Yeah.
So I don't really say this came from them because I didn't actually see their mouth move or see them project this thought into my head. So, but it's always, it seems like it's always about tuning me up.
Yeah, they do these downloads. A lot of people hear that ringing in their ear, that really high frequency ringing, and that's information going straight into your subconscious. It's communication happening, and when that happens, look around you. There may be a ship hanging out.
I've been actually trying to speak to Kazekiel for this past week. And in my nightly meditation before sleep, I called upon the being often.
Have you had any success yet, or?
Not yet. I mean, maybe I am. Maybe, who knows? He might have hooked you and I up. I don't know. But as far as this week and having the evidence of saying, he just chimed in and said hello. No, I haven't seen anything just yet. Yeah,
he's. You'll find it just a big shit-eating grin on your face when he comes in. They call him the god. I asked the Andromedans when I first was awakening. I said, "Well, what is my purpose here? What's this all about?" And they said, "You're a teacher." And I said, "A teacher for what?" And they said, "You're a teacher for the God of eternal bliss," is what they called him. And I go, "Who's that?" And they said, "Kazekiel." So, these Andromedan beings, which are mythologically known as archangels, they're 8 to 10 feet tall, and they have magnetized light beings. We're holding Kazekiel in high regard. So I said, I guess I guess that's what it's about. And he's the one that I saw with the golden hair. He had long golden hair, golden beard, robes, and all floating together. And he was sitting on looked like a throne, almost like a chair, and he was just stroking his beard, staring at me. That was the first time I saw him, and laughing. He was just pure bliss, and when I experienced him, I was just going, oh my God, this is like, and same thing. Everything was transferred almost instantaneously. There weren't like words or anything else, just more like symbols.
Is this during sleep states of consciousness, or is this in a meditation, or is this full wide awake, or how does this usually happen?
This was the first one that happened. Well, my first experience was a drowning that I went through the tunnel and went into the plane of bliss. The second experience was kind of like a white light experience where he took me, out of my body, and then, I was just standing before him, and he had a pillar, two little pillars in front of him, and one was a golden bow and arrow, and the other one was a book with empty pages on it. And it took me a long time to figure out what the arrow was about, the golden arrow, and bow. But, the book I figured out right now, because the Andromedans told me that I was supposed to write his book, and that's what the information coming through the other books are coming from Ezekiel. But it was pretty interesting. And then the other time I experienced him is he came in. I was going through a lot of kind of emotional turmoil. I was breaking up in a relationship and not sure where I was going or what I wanted to do or anything. And then next thing you know, he just pulls me out of my body, and I found myself way out in space somewhere. And I look back, and the Earth is like a pinhead now. I saw it getting smaller and smaller as I was going out, and Earth is just a pinhead. And he goes, "This is who you are, and there's your problems." So when I came back, I didn't have any problems anymore. I mean, I couldn't even relate to them, and they all just fell away. But that's what I've realized through this whole experience, is that we're these vast beings that are trapped in this physical body, and this body and this personality is not who we are, and all these problems that we're experiencing they're not real in a way. They seem real, but that we're just so much far further beyond these problems that we can solve them very easily once we access that.
Yeah. I have, for a period of years, James, I'd say since 97, I was introduced to the presence of a holy man on the planet by the name of Sathya Sai Baba.
Mm-hmm.
And my life changed. I mean, it changed again. It went up another rung on the ladder. He started coming to me in dreams, and he invites me in this dream experience. He goes, "Keith, I want you to come to India to see me." And I'm using my logical mind. Wonderful. How will I get there? When will I go? Where will I get the money? How am I going to put this all together? He says, "You need to just let this go, Keith." So a week later, James, I get a phone call from someone I never met. "Hi, Keith. My name is Debbie. We have a mutual friend. I heard through the grapevine that you want to go to India." And I said, "I sure do." She says, "Well, today's your lucky day." She said, "I'm a flight attendant, and I got some companion passes for the year that are about to expire. And I would hate that to happen knowing that you want to go see a holy man in India."
Yeah.
So I jump aboard this big old plane, and I stay there for 2 weeks. And I see Sai Baba quite often. And he talk about plays. He constantly plays with you. And he will take things to a very serious level. He will on purpose put you in a pickle. And when I say he, I don't mean as if I don't have control of my own reality. But as a teacher who I do invite in my life, he does step in and say, "Okay, you asked, here we go."
Uh-huh. Yeah, there seems to be a lot of very enlightened beings on the planet right now for these shifts. I wanted to get more into some of the other beings. I know you had some Pleiadians appear to you. Have you had any other beings pop in on?
Years ago, a group would come in every so often. I think they were called the Pixies.
Mm-hmm.
Are you familiar with a group of beings called the Pixies?
I've heard of them. I've heard somebody else was talking about them. I haven't met them, but they almost sound like they're from the inner Earth or the Elf Kingdom or something. But
I'm agreeing with that, absolutely. I don't think they're from above, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And then I was hanging around Chuck for 5-7 years, and this being was a gray. His father was a king, Egyptian king. His mother was a gray. He was presently, at that time, he was 4,720 years old. Their technology is in such a way that if you die, provided you don't get your head cut off, they can rejuvenate your life half the length of that time. And when you die again, they can rejuvenate your body half of that time. After which, when you die for fourth time, you are spent. You just completely ascend to some other reality altogether.
Yeah, boy, if you didn't ascend or wake up in that amount of time, there's something wrong with the picture. You can imagine the vastness.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I've seen, James, I was always ending up on ships, and sometimes we would have a brief conversation, but it was never about, hi, we are the so-and-sos. And they would give me information, they'd put me back in my body and say, now go spread the good word. It was really never that way for me. It's just more or less I was like invited by a friend of a friend to go hang out with some people who live down the street kind of thing.
Uh-huh. I had one experience, and I remember it vividly, where I was walking with this very tall master, and we went and stood before a panel. And this panel of beings, I looked up, and there were masters on this panel. I think there was at least 12 or more of them. I'm not sure. I didn't really do a head count, but some of them were very well-known masters, like Jesus and Babaji and some of the others, and some of them had blue skin, and some were definitely not of Earth. They were something, pretty out of the ordinary. And I go, now this is interesting, and so I stood there next to this master being, and kind of was given these orders, you might say, or some agreement that I made to do, and for the life of me, I have no idea what that is. I still don't. I think I'm doing it. I think I'm just naturally doing it, but nobody gave me the manual there or let me come back with anything that. But I'm wondering, after experiencing that, I'm just wondering how many people have stood before these panels or have made agreements before incarnating and had everything laid out for them, and that are just here now floundering around going, I know there's something I was supposed to do, but what was that?
Right. It feels that way for me. In fact, I'm working on a book now called, I'm calling it An Act of God, double entendre, but the subtitle would be Following the Divine Script. I believe my life had a script, and that I'm following it. Hence the reason I have happiness and joy and peace in my life, because I'm adhering to what was the track that was laid down for myself. Now, mind you, early in my life, when I was in this 10-year relationship and before, just being a kid, I didn't have a greater self-awareness like I do now of myself, and life was painful. I was full of ego and lots of issues in my life. Of course, I wasn't following the script. I was not finding a way to the higher planes of bliss, as you would call it. I was not bringing that into my daily life. Now, like I said, when I have that waking up experience with the voice and the full-blown apparition, it's like I knew it was always supposed to happen from that moment forth. It was either going to do it by me consciously choosing it, or I would find myself kneeling down begging.
Yeah.
It was just happen.
It's funny how we think we have, free will. We actually do, but it's if you get off the program, you sure get, sent back. Those dead ends can really hit hard sometimes. When you get out of that flow. I was curious. I saw one of the things that it looked like they gave you some messages about the Earth, maybe the future of the Earth, or some of the things coming down the pike. Do you have any information concerning that, or just what are your own feelings about how things are going to unfold?
When I was writing the Divine Principle, James, I would write between 6 and 12 hours a day. I'd wake up at 10 o'clock in the morning, turn on my computer, have some water, and I would not leave except to use the restroom or to get something to eat. And as I would sit there Sometimes information would come, and I would form a question around the information. But as this information would come, I would also